Let me ask you something. What happens when your best technician quits? The answer tells you everything about how your business is built. Because if one person leaves and the schedule falls apart, customer starts calling angry, the dispatcher doesn't know what to do, the newer techs start guessing, and every decision lands back on your phone, then the problem is not only that good people are hard to find, the problem is that too much of the business still depends on few key people. And usually at the center of that dependency is the owner. Now, let me be clear, the labor shortage is real. Finding good plumbers, it's hard. Keeping them is even harder. Training new people takes time. And yes, there are fewer qualified people available than most owners need at the moment. But the labor shortage may not be what is breaking the business. It may just be exposing what the business is already too dependent on you. Because in a lot of plumbing companies, the business only works when the right people are in the right mood, on the right day, making the right decisions without anything going wrong. That is not structure, that is fragility. And when labor gets tight, fragility shows up. One tech quits, one dispatcher gets overwhelmed, one apprentice is not trained properly, one customer complains is handled badly, one callback comes back for the third time, and suddenly the owner is back in the middle of everything, approving discounts, moving the schedules, calling the customer, answering the texts, fixing the handoff, calling everybody involved in everything once again. At the end of the day, the owner says, I just need better people. Yeah, maybe. But sometimes what you really need is a business that doesn't not break every time people act like people, because people miss details. People need training, and they need clarity, and people need accountability, and people need to know what decisions belong to them. And if none of these are clear, the business will keep pushing every problem back to the owner. Now, let me give you a simple example. You hire a technician, he has experience, he says the right things in the interview. He seems to know what he's doing. So you put him in the truck. 2 weeks later, you're totally frustrated. He's calling in too often, he's taking too long, the paperwork is incomplete, the photos are missing, or he's not presenting options clearly, the customer is confused, the dispatcher is irritated, and now you're thinking, here we go again. Nobody wants to work anymore. But let's slow down a bit. Did he know exactly what a completed job looked like in your company? Did he have a clear checklist? Did he know which decisions he make without calling you? Did he know your standard for pictures, notes, pricing, customer communication, and follow up? Did inspect his work? Did anyone sit down with him at the end of the week and review what went right, what went wrong, what needed improvement? Or was he expected to figure it out by being around you long enough? That is where a lot of owners get stuck. They're trying to transfer standards through memory, through personality, through correction, through frustration, through I already told them that. But that is not training system. And that is wishful thinking or hope. And hope does not scale. A real business cannot depend on everyone magically knowing what's inside the owner's head. Why? Because when the owner is the only one who really knows the standard, then the owner becomes the training department. He becomes the quality control department, the escalation department, the decision department, the customer recovery department, the pricing department, but eventually he becomes the bottleneck. That is why the labor shortage feels so painful. It's not just that people are hard to find, it's that the business has not been built to grow people once they arrive. So every new hire becomes a gamble. Every single mistake becomes very personal. Every weak employee becomes proof that nobody is good anymore. And every gap comes back to the owner. Now, compare that to a business with structure. Let's say a callback happens. The dispatcher knows the process, the technicians knows what information to collect, the customer knows when they will hear back, and the owner does not have to be the first call. If a pricing question comes up, there is a rule that tech does not have to guess. The office does not have to interrupt the owner, and the customer gets a clear answer. If a new employee starts, there is a checklist, there are standards, and there is feedback. There is a way to know if they are improving or falling behind. That is the difference. Same labor market, different business. Now, one owner says, I can't find anyone anymore. The other one says, good people are hard to find, so we better be very good at training, keeping, and leading the ones we have. Because here's the truth, if your company only works when you have superstar employees, you do not have a scalable company yet. You have a business depending on heroes. And heroes are hard to find and they're expensive to keep. And eventually they burn out. The stronger companies are not built around heroes, they're built around clarity, clear roles, clear standards, clear decisions, clear handoffs, clear accountability. Not corporate complexity either, just simple operating discipline. Who owns the schedule? Who owns callbacks? Who owns customer follow up? Who owns training? Who owns quality control? Who owns pricing exceptions? Who owns making sure that job is actually done right? If the answer to too many of these questions is still the owner, then the labor shortage is not your only problem. Owner dependency is. Because adding more people to an owner dependent business does not automatically create freedom. It usually creates more interruptions, more questions, more mistakes, more follow up, more of what do I do now questions. And that is why some plumbing owners grow and feel more trapped. They add trucks, they add people, they add more revenue, but they never added enough structure. So now the business is bigger, but the owner is still the hub of every decision. That is exhausting and it's very risky as well because when everything depends on you, your business has a ceiling and it can only grow to the size of your personal capacity, your attention, your energy, your ability, your patience, your ability to answer the phone one more time. And in reality, and nobody scales forever that way. So, no, I'm not saying hiring does not matter. It absolutely matters. But before you say, I just need more good people, ask a better question. If I hired 3 new people next month, would my life get easier or more chaotic? That's the question that tells you the truth. Because if adding people makes your life harder instead of easier, you probably do not have a people problem first. You have a owner dependency problem. The business still needs you too much. Too many decisions still flow through you. Too many standards still live in your head. Too many people still need your approval. Too many problems still land back in your desk. And the labor shortage is simply making that impossible to ignore. So, what do you do? So, start small. Pick one area where the team depends on you too much. That could be callbacks, dispatch, pricing exceptions, customer complaints, training new techs. Just pick one and then ask, who owns this now? What is the standard? What is the process? Decisions can they make without me? When should they escalate? How will they review it weekly? That is how structure gets built, not all at once, just one ownership gap at a time. And when those gaps start closing, something changes. The team starts making better decisions. The owner gets fewer interruptions. Customers get more consistent service. And new people ramp up faster, and good people stay longer because they are not working in daily confusion, if you will. And the business becomes stronger. Not because the labor market all of a sudden changed and got easier, but because the company became less fragile. The labor shortage may be real, and it is real, but if one missing person can break the business, the shortage is not the only problem. The dependency is. If adding people makes your life harder instead of easier, your business probably has an owner dependency problem. So run the owner dependency calculator below. It will help you see where the business is still relying too much on you and where structure needs to be built next. And subscribe for more straight talk on building a plumbing business that grows without putting everything back on the owner.